Welcome back to the Super Sim series, where I've decided to make just one sim who will gain almost every trait, master every skill, graduate with all of the university degrees, reach the top of every career, and complete every collection. Last episode, our Super Sim Tina enacted a 6-stage plan to overcome the energy need. An upgraded bed, moonlight-empowered jewelry, forbidden candy, and Bombardier Beetle stir-fry were all parts of the plan. And after making sleeping a choice rather than a necessity, Tina locked down numerous university scholarships and packed up everything in her home in preparation for the next adventure at the Foxbury Institute. Why Foxbury? Well, because I received a warning from a wise sage alerting me to a bug affecting degrees if I was to attend Brightchester first. But before enrolling, I first decided to go to work while being a drink master in the mixologist career one final time, hoping to receive a secret recipe while there. And this was because I'd been warned by an icon that Tina having the athletic scholarship would see her automatically quit the mixologist career upon enrolling into university. Sadly, Tina didn't unlock the secret recipe while at work, and she even got promoted to the top of the mixologist career as a celebrity mixologist. And so while it was great that Tina had technically completed this career, she would also have to revisit it down the track in order to unlock a certain drink. After sleeping on the couch that night and spending some time fixing her needs, the following morning Tina officially enrolled into university. She opted to start with a distinguished biology degree at Foxbury. Why biology? Well, unlike myself who is bad at pretty much all sports, Tina envisioned herself as becoming the perfect college athlete. This involved earning a biology degree for career advancement in the bodybuilder branch of the athlete career, as well as reaching the top of the university soccer team for advancement in the professional athlete branch of the athlete career, and additionally completing the bodybuilder aspiration, because thematically it made sense. When it came to her biology degree, Tina went all in and enrolled into 4 classes for her first semester, and she also chose to live on campus. In good news, her scholarships more than covered the cost of her degree and housing, and Tina was actually paid around 1,400 simoleons to attend university. Immediately upon starting uni, Tina had to leave behind the mixologist's life and instead pour her efforts into the soccer team player career. Yes, kicking balls is her new hobby. Selling her house saw Tina gain another nice chunk of change, and she was now sitting at just over 90,000 simoleons. And after showing everyone in her dorm that she had ball skills, Tina then decided to claim her room. While there was a fabulous pink room for one, Tina felt that it was ultimately too small, and so she instead assigned herself to a bed in a larger orange room alongside her new roommate Jeff. Tina unpacked her things while randoms made use of her room, and also while Jeff started crying in his bed and using her computer. And after this, Jason Bruno left Tina a passive-aggressive note next to her bed calling her a bad roommate. This is why we don't talk about Bruno. It had literally been half an hour and Tina decided she needed a break from her student housing. She took a moment to set up her crystal grid outside and then went to visit Laurel Library, stopping to shop for a new wardrobe along the way. That's right, we're embracing new outfits to celebrate a new chapter in Tina's life. While I absolutely love many of the new looks that Tina would be serving in, I must say I begrudgingly added the Foxbury soccer team uniform, which is just ugly enough that you'd think the team was actively discouraging supporters. Also yes, Tina now responds to events by saying that she'll bring the disco ball, and then she just arrives in her pink party outfit. And overall, this huge range of new outfits made Tina a little bit excited to show off at uni. While at Laurel Library, Tina spent a few hours researching on the research machines. You see, she was currently level 3 of the research and debate skill, but she knew that training this up a few levels early would make the whole university experience much smoother. She continued to use the machines until she reached level 6 of the research and debate skill, and this was an important milestone as it would increase the speed that she completes university presentations and term papers. And you better believe that this is what Tina turned her attention to next. She had 4 university subjects and a lot of work to smash through, so she powered through the night perfecting and then later practicing her term presentation for the sunlight cycle, before then spending some time getting to know librarian Ash. Only when Tina made a bit of a move, Ash told Tina to hold it and that he wasn't interested. After returning to her uni accommodation, Tina ate some forbidden candy to increase her energy need before spotting a random man playing her guitar, and so she threw a Bombardier beetle nugget at him to briefly set him ablaze. Essentially, it was a very dramatic way of saying, "That's my guitar, stop." Afterwards, Tina locked her computer before making her way to the university booth. Here she purchased some posters, a bicycle, and additionally a biology university course book that was 7 times more expensive than the bicycle. But I guess the university textbook costing that much is just realistic pricing. She also purchased some more soccer balls and a mini fridge. Tina then went to set things up in her bedroom, only people were currently flirting on her bed. And while Jeff did tip Tina off, he was also right there letting it happen. Like, what the hell, Jeff? Thankfully, by the time Tina had arrived back, the mysterious lovers had cleared out. Instead, Tina turned her attention to the food that was being kept on the bathroom sink. While Tina had standards, she also had a stomach. And, well, she was hungry. So she decided that today she was just going to eat the chicken, and she chose to do so in another student's room. Afterwards, Tina once again decorated her room, popping up the new posters and adding in a mini fridge. And this time she remembered to put her mother Sally's urn in her room too. I also tried to upgrade her bed, but for some reason the game was bugging and not letting me. Also, Sally's urn now inspired random Sims who had never met her before to start mourning and crying over her in Tina's bedroom. Like, I know it's sad, Jane, but you've never met the woman. Anyway, later that afternoon, Tina went to her first soccer training day, where she trained by practicing passing with the hopes of meeting some of her teammates. Upon finishing, she swiped an object, and I then sent Tina straight to Laurel Library for a night of completing her homework. Even with the study spot lot trait and a decent research and debate skill helping her, completing homework for 4 university classes still took almost the whole night and early morning. And Tina was pretty relieved that thanks to overcoming the need to sleep, she could work all through the night. After finishing off the last of her homework on early Monday morning, she then returned back to campus and went straight to class, choosing to take notes in class to boost her grades, which was something that I'd be having Tina do in every class that she took. After class, she was starving, and so she treated herself to a chocolate croissant before practicing juggling her soccer ball, attending another university class, and then presenting the final presentation she'd prepared earlier. Yes, it was all systems go on getting good grades. But there was one thing that was starting to hold Tina back. You'd likely notice that she was starting to smell like a dumpster. And as she made her way to soccer practice looking like she lived in Shrek's swamp, I decided that something needed to be done. After practice, I had Tina use 500 satisfaction points to purchase the Gym Rat reward trait, which would see her gain fun and not lose hygiene while exercising. And additionally, for 3,000 points, Tina bought the antiseptic reward trait, which would significantly slow down her hygiene need decay. And then to go all in on her new sporting focus, I had Tina swap to the Bodybuilder aspiration. Tina returned to her university housing and showered before eating some forbidden candy to improve her energy need. She was going to absorb energy from her crystals too, but it was now that she found out that the university balcony didn't count as outside, and her crystals weren't charging on the grid. I had her move the grid downstairs where it could charge, and I also rotated out her hematite jewelry, which was thankfully still charged, meaning that Tina would remain death-proof. She spent the rest of the night and very early morning powering through her homework at Laurel Library, before getting started on another presentation she needed to complete. She left only to get to her class on time and afterwards practice juggling in very non-soccer friendly clothes before going to her second class of the day. Following this, Tina continued working on her university presentation and then eventually made her way to soccer practice while holding in a pee. Tina finished up training and took a moment to get to know her teammate Wyatt, and then made her way back to her room where I encountered a problem. After eating some forbidden candy to boost her energy, I then went to absorb some more energy from her charged jewelry, only it had disappeared from where she left it, and it wasn't in her personal inventory. In hindsight, it had been really foolish of me to leave it outside on the ground while thinking, this is perfect. And I was really hoping that the jewelry would somehow end up in her household inventory. But even if it was there, I wouldn't actually be able to access it while at university. So yeah, a bit of a disaster. Thankfully, Tina had more than one charging grid, and I found out that it would actually charge jewelry when placed on the other balcony. So while Tina had lost a lot of her jewelry, at least she still had some backups that she could use, and she then began charging them. Thankfully, after some time charging, Tina could finally absorb some energy from a crystal. Small wins. At around 2 AM, Tina decided to do her homework in her roommate's room because she could. And then as the sun began to rise, she traveled to Sky Fitness in San Myshuno and used the treadmill while enjoying the city views. And this completed the first stage of the Bodybuilder aspiration. But she'd hit a bit of a snag with the second part, as it required her to own 2 pieces of workout equipment. Something that's actually tricky to do while living at university. After attending class that day, I had Tina purchase 2 soccer balls, hoping it would somehow count as workout equipment. It didn't. I also quickly visited the Movers and Shakers gym to see if I could use her kleptomaniac trait to swipe some equipment. In this moment, Koji called, having locked himself out, and I was like, Koji, I am trying to steal a treadmill. Also, sadly, Tina couldn't actually steal it. After leaving the gym and attending another class, I then decided to lightly bend the rules, or cheat, depending on your interpretation. I used the bb.enable free build cheat to unlock buy mode, which is normally locked in university housing, solely for the purpose of buying 2 pieces of gym equipment. And I also subtracted their cost from Tina's household funds as well. And this completed a bodybuilder aspiration task. Tina tested out her new equipment with some light training before rushing off to soccer practice. And after practice ended, Tina decided to hang out at the uni bar with her soccer teammates and get to know them a little bit better. William was giving British royalty, Wyatt was giving the bold and the beautiful, and Grayson was giving, well, Grayson. It was during this night that Tina also discovered that she was nosy, which I felt perfectly suited her. After returning home, Tina took a moment to fix up her needs and questioned why there was perfectly cooked lobster on the bathroom floor, before shamelessly eating it while getting to know some of her university dorm mates. And then she later absorbed some energy from her crystals. She then smashed out some homework before dancing like an absolute icon to both the radio and the violinist. Like, I know I named my Super Sim Tina after Tina Fey, but in this moment, I felt that maybe I should have named her Shakira, because those hips don't lie. Anyway, after attending her classes and submitting a final presentation for the first time in a while, Tina was relatively free. And so, she decided to take a trip to Brindleton Bay where the weather was perfect and go for a stress-busting afternoon jog. And it was while she was jogging that she came across an old natural history museum that was listed for sale with a price tag of just under 74,000 simoleons. And after exploring the museum for a little while, Tina put in an offer. And because this is The Sims, her offer was instantly successful and she purchased the museum. Now, of course, you can't technically buy museum community lots in The Sims. So how this is going to work is that I essentially will be pretending that Tina owns it and allowing her to plunk any items from her inventory onto it. Then if she wants to buy furnishings or make additions, I'll be keeping track of the price of them and subtracting their price from Tina's household funds. So Tina unofficially but officially purchased the museum before rushing off to her soccer game that day, which thankfully resulted in a victory. And then Tina went straight to doing her homework after the game. I was like, but Tina, Larry the Lobster is right there. He's like a celebrity, but not. Anyway, I decided to let Tina actually sleep that night, just because I felt like she'd gone a week without sleeping and that she needed it. She woke and fixed her needs before then spending some time finishing off her homework while her roommate Jeff sleep talked. Around midday, the Foxbury Spirit Day started, and Tina was quick to get involved and show off her moves. She enjoyed dancing, the food, and mostly the drama of Larry the Lobster fighting a fan because she smelt bad. And it was in this moment of chaos that Tina decided that this was the club for her. She met and made friends with a member before asking to join when the event ended, and you better believe that she was accepted in. With her newfound Foxbury pride, Tina then went to add the correct banners to the sports centre before going to her Sunday soccer game and returning home a little bit injured. She then took a moment to swap out her hematite jewelry and absorb some crystal energy before inviting a bunch of friends over to party. Well, it was supposed to be a party, but everyone just stood around the overflowing trash. I mean, Sophia, you tried. You really tried. Though I guess things kind of got a little more exciting when everyone gathered around a man playing violin at 1 AM. Later on, Tina caught Sergio juggling a soccer ball in her room, and you better believe that it was a turn on. The pair flirted, and the romance began heating up. Then after some kissing, Tina had an idea, and not even her roommate Jeff crying in bed nearby was going to stop her. It was time to make things official with Sergio. That's right, Tina officially asked him to be her boyfriend. While Jeff wasn't here for this moment, Tina and Sergio absolutely were, and the pair kept the romance going all the way until morning, even going through bodies, literally, to make the kisses connect. Unfortunately, Sergio took things too far and then asked if they could live together, to which Tina was like, okay, settle down there. No. In another cute but less saucy moment, Tina took some time to chat to Mars. Truthfully, he was getting older, and she wasn't sure how much longer she'd have with him. Despite their differences, she wanted what was left of their time together to be amicable, even if Mars thought it was okay to fart and then blow it towards Tina. When morning came, it was time for some boxing, before Tina then purchased and drank an energizing potion to put her in an energized mood, before working out by pushing the limits for an hour. This completed the second part of the Bodybuilder aspiration, and all she needed to do to complete the third part was spend 10 hours exercising. For the rest of the day, Tina got involved in Foxbury life, visiting the Utility Bot contest where she had a dance. Then later that night, Tina attended the Foxbury Spirit Squad bar night, and here Tina started Foxbury Cheers and lived that lobster life. It's one of those events where if you're not dancing like a lobster, then I don't know why you're even here. After returning home, Tina hopped onto the treadmill for a run while overlooking campus, and with her final exams fast approaching, she took a moment to perfect her needs. In other news, Sally's ghost also appeared that night and possessed some of Tina's furniture, and Tina was so thrilled to have a moment to catch up. This being said, she was less thrilled about how perfectly good food keeps ending up on the bathroom floor. Sally also reminded Tina that she was close to aging, and so Tina purchased and drank another potion of youth to reset her age, before then eating some more forbidden candy and absorbing energy from her crystals to perfect her needs. Then on a cloudy Monday morning, Tina went to sit her 2 final exams, and I am taking the fact that it got sunny during the last exam as a really good sign. Tina then practiced juggling for a while before receiving her grades. She received A+ across the board in what was an excellent start to her time at uni, and following this she signed up for another term of 4 classes before going straight to soccer practice. Upon returning home, she was promoted to a bench warmer. It's as inspiring as it sounds. And she was also ready to take on her second semester of uni. Sadly, a second semester meant a lot more work. And for her 4 classes, Tina had 3 final exams and 1 term paper to write. I immediately had Tina go to Laurel Library, where she could begin putting a dent in her coursework with the help of the Study Spot lot trait. She finished as the sun was rising and quickly zipped home to grab a bite to eat. Yes, from the bathroom. Afterwards, Tina ate some forbidden candy and got to work writing her term paper, wanting to finish it off early in the semester, something I myself never did during my own uni days. She completed a draft of her term paper before jamming on her guitar and then rushing off to her first class that day while strangers got to know each other on her bed. Following class, she then got ready and went to her soccer practice, where making Tina practice hard saw her be promoted to a starter after a single day. Not bad at all. However, she would actually have to win a Friday or Saturday game in order to secure her next promotion. Tina returned to her uni accommodation and grabbed a bite to eat, shocked that for once the food wasn't in the bathroom. She then absorbed some more crystal energy and spent the night editing and refining her term paper before finally submitting it. The rest of the morning saw Tina study her soccer team playbook in preparation for practice. Side note, I swear my sim uses a different desk every time, to the point where I wish sims could claim a desk in the same way that they can claim a bed. Also, Tina has some serious star power, because wherever she starts studying, everyone just wants to do the same next to her. It was a standard day, attending 3 subject classes and completing some of her homework for them before attending soccer team practice that night. Then after finishing, Tina fixed up her needs and rotated out her life-saving hematite jewelry. She then knocked out the rest of her homework at Laurel Library overnight, and at this stage Tina felt like she was getting on top of this university semester's workload, and so she could finally turn her attention to other pursuits. She returned back home in the early morning and spent a couple of hours working out on the treadmill as the sun rose, and this completed the 3rd stage of the Bodybuilder aspiration. As an added bonus, seeing as Tina already reached level 10 fitness and had the maximum body potential, she fully completed the aspiration and was awarded the long-lived trait, which would significantly increase the duration of the elder life stage. Admittedly, this was not that useful for her, but it was another aspiration down, and it really helped solidify her status as a standout college athlete. Afterwards, I decided to then have Tina swap to the Curator aspiration, as it would really help her start filling out the natural history museum that she'd bought. Come Thursday morning, Tina went to visit the rival Brightchester University, where she yarn-bombed their university statue and hung up Foxbury banners on their sports centre to help improve her Foxbury Spirit Squad rank. She then spent a little more time that morning searching for and digging up collectibles, as well as begrudgingly fishing in order to complete the 1st stage of the Curator aspiration. She returned to Foxbury in time to attend her class that day before rushing off to soccer team practice, and then that night Tina fixed her needs, reached level 10 of the guitar skill, and studied soccer plays, before attending numerous classes the following day while using the downtime between classes to get a head start on her homework. She managed a small break in the afternoon to attend the Foxbury game day party, but sadly she was only able to stay for an hour before her soccer game kicked off. I had Tina play energetically so to increase the chance of success, and Tina played exceptionally well and even scored a goal. She also tactically distracted the enemy team with the power of a cute dog, but despite all of this she sadly didn't win the game. She returned back home and fixed her needs before heading off to Laurel Library to catch up on all of her homework and study some soccer plays. And come morning, Tina visited Oasis Springs Park and caught frogs for a few hours, finding enough frogs to finish an aspiration task. She also had a couple of fossil rocks in her inventory that she extracted to collect 3 new fossils and complete another aspiration task. Tina returned to campus around midday to attend the School Spirit Day, where she started various cheers and hung out with not 1, not 2, but 3 Larry Lobsters. Because are you really having school pride if you don't have 3 lobster mascots? I can just imagine the internal meeting that led to this incredible occasion. This allowed Tina to advance to a seasoned member of the Foxbury Spirit Squad. Side note, Tina had been busting the entire event, but she'd held it in because she was having a great time. That is, until it became too much. Suddenly, she sprinted away from the event, but despite her best efforts, she didn't quite make it home in time before she peed her pants. Mortified, she desperately hoped she wouldn't run into any peers on the way home, and luck was on her side as she slipped into the shower without anyone knowing what had happened. Afterwards, Tina grabbed some lobster thermidor from a toilet cubicle. That's right, if you thought the bathroom floor was bad, then her roommates have stepped up their game. Sure, it's objectively a more creative location, but it's also even more gross. After Tina had a bite to eat, it was game time, and she headed off to play on the Brightchester campus. During the game, she again played energetically and helped maintain possession for her team, but once again the game ended as a loss. It was a loss that meant she would have to wait until the following week's games before she had any chance of being promoted. After fixing her needs, Tina found Sally roaming around that night and enjoyed a chat with her, and she then spent the early hours of the morning scouting Willow Creek for collectibles. She found lots of frogs and even a few metals, but the real win was finding 5 crystals, as this saw Tina complete the 2nd stage of the Curator aspiration. And yes, having level 9 gemology was very much coming in handy by allowing Tina to find multiple crystals at once. Tina returned home and fixed her needs, and as her day was relatively free, I decided to double down on the Curator aspiration by helping frogs find love. She bred a tiger and whirly flower frog, and while she awaited the breeding cooldown to refresh, she sent off 5 crystals to the Geological Council, which would ultimately see them mail her back some elements in a few days' time. Understandably excited about frogs and the frog collection, Tina decided to spend the day at Willow Creek Park looking for and successfully adding more frogs to add to her collection. She bred another frog too once the cooldown allowed it, and Tina ended the day having officially found 18 of the 25 frogs in the collection. She left at 6 PM in order to attend the Foxbury Spirit Squad bar night, where Tina desperately tried to start Foxbury cheers. In all honesty, it was a tough crowd that night, and this meant forgetting the cheers and embracing the snacks. Afterwards, Tina fixed her needs overnight and also got to know Jeff a little better, and come Monday, it was time for her final exams. She made her way across campus and was nice and early for her 3 back-to-back tests. And when the results came in that night, Tina again received 8+ grades across the board, making for another very successful semester. She immediately signed up for her 3rd and final semester before rushing off to soccer team practice. You know the drill by now. The first few days of Tina's new university term were spent completing her homework, attending all of her classes, writing, refining, and submitting 2-term papers, and additionally preparing and giving a presentation. Not to mention attending her nighttime soccer team practice commitments, as well as all the needs fixing in between her obligations. It was a really fast-paced start to the term, and Tina was fully focused on her studies all the way up until Friday afternoon. One important thing to note was that 5 elements arrived back from the Geological Council, completing an aspiration task, and she also managed to find a small amount of time during the week to search for and breed more frogs. After Tina finished class on Friday and quickly knocked off her homework, she then turned her attention to a soccer match that night. She quickly studied plays in preparation for the upcoming game, and then made her way to the sports center in time for kickoff. While Tina actually didn't play her best, she thankfully came away with a win, and this saw her tick off an important promotion requirement in the process. Tina returned to her uni housing and celebrated with some cake before fixing up her needs, before studying plays in preparation for tomorrow's soccer match. Sally appeared that night too and mourned herself. I know, she's iconic. Come Saturday morning, Tina's schedule was much more free, and so she decided to visit the park in Oasis Springs and focus on frogs. She spent the early morning looking for them, and even bred the 5th frog needed to complete the 3rd stage of the Curator aspiration. As Tina had already completed the Moonwood Relics collection, all she needed to do was collect 25 more collectibles to finish off the aspiration. However, I also wanted to use this goal as an opportunity to complete the frogs collection. I had Tina look for frogs all morning, and by 11 AM she had found all but the very elusive bullseye frog. It was the target that she couldn't quite hit. Excuse my bad pun, but Tina had to put her frog hunting on pause as she wanted to attend the Foxbury School Spirit Day. Here she impressed with her ping pong skills, but while Tina was impressive, she was also unimpressed with the lack of lobster Larrys at the event. Like, how did we go from 3 mascots to 0? I mean, if no one was dressed as a lobster, then why was Tina even there? On a positive note, Tina really hit it off with Jason, and as they played highly competitive ping pong, Tina had a bit of a Sergio who moment. I mean, Jason's earrings were a statement, and they were giving confidence. That night, Tina was meant to go to a soccer game, but for some reason my game bugged out and I literally couldn't send her. It was really odd, and I was kind of annoyed as she would have very likely been promoted. I decided that rather than throw a party to celebrate her promotion, I would throw one in defiance of the game's bugginess. It was a dance party held at the ancient ruins, and you better believe that it popped off. It was the hottest party on campus, and Tina and Sergio danced and made out on the dance floor while all of Tina's other lovers were too busy dancing to get jealous. Yes, the power of dancing. Okay, maybe Mars and JJ got a little bit jealous, but just like Gretchen Wieners in Mean Girls, Tina can't help it that she's popular. After a huge night of dancing, Tina returned home and fixed up her needs, and she then decided to once again focus on frogs. because who doesn't like frogs? Early Sunday morning, Tina visited the park in Oasis Springs, and after looking for frogs in the pond for a little while, she found the final frog needed to fully complete the frog collection. Yes, much excitement. And only moments later, after collecting a few more frogs, Tina found the 25 total collectibles needed to finish off the Curator aspiration. And this awarded Tina with the Appraiser trait, which allows her to sell a range of collectibles like metals, crystals, elements, and fossils to the Smithsonian Museum for a nice chunk of change. But Tina didn't just want to sell her collectibles, she also wanted to display them in her own museum. Tina left the park and made a beeline for her museum in Brindleton Bay, and you better believe that she was excited to make some improvements. It was here that she created two displays. One was for her Moonwood Relics collection, and the other was for her complete frogs collection. For her frogs, she placed a range of stone pedestals in the lakes surrounding the museum, and then placed all of the frogs atop them. Also, yes, each pedestal costed a whopping 1,000 simoleons, so this was not a very budget-friendly display. But while it wasn't a friend of my wallet, it was a friend of my eyes, because I thought that it looked great. Then of course, the Moonwood Mill relics went on the Moonwood Relic display, which naturally showcased them perfectly. The total cost of these displays and 3 new toilets was a massive 19,870 simoleons, and it was enough to almost reset Tina's funds all the way back to zero. You'll likely disagree, but I'll say that it was worth it. After setting up the 2 installations, Tina made her way to the Peppers pub in Brightchester just in time for the Spirit Squad bar night. Here Tina grabbed a bite to eat and started some Foxbury cheers. And after a night of basking in uni pride, Tina couldn't help but travel to Brightchester and prank the university statue there. Tina returned home and fixed up her needs before swapping out her hematite jewelry and having what appeared to be the most uncomfortable looking 2 AM movie night with her roommates. Seriously, people stood up for ages, and then after sitting they were like, actually I'll stand. This will then repeat to the point where I was like, are we watching a movie or are we exercising, because I thought we were watching the movie. It was a mess. Come morning, Tina cleaned up the Foxbury statue and then used her newly acquired appraiser trait to sell some extra crystals that she had for some money. She even gained some fame and became a notable newcomer in the process, but now wasn't quite the time for celebrity stardom, and so I had Tina temporarily quit the spotlight. I mean, she radiated enough on her own. After jamming on her guitar, Tina decided to sit in on an archaeology skill class, which piqued her interest because of her own museum. And after her skill class, where she reached level 5 of the archaeology skill, she rushed off to take her final exam for nanotechnology and the bodies of tomorrow. It was her final exam for her entire degree, and after finishing it, Tina was feeling confident. She was looking forward to her results, but she needed to focus on her soccer team practice that night, where I was almost certain that she'd be promoted to the top of the soccer team. She headed off towards the sports center in anticipation, but it was then that bad news struck. Tina's university results came in at 6 PM, and while her grades were flawless, they came in exactly when her soccer practice would have started. And because she had now graduated, she was immediately kicked off of the soccer team. I was honestly devastated, as this derailed my plans to make the perfect college athlete. But I had to move on because Tina's graduation was fast approaching. In the lead up, she took some time to relax. And side note, after spending the entirety of her degree sharing a room with Jeff, she was really warming to him. The following morning, it was graduation time, and Tina gathered with her peers to celebrate finishing up her degree. She looked incredible in her graduation gown, and achieving A+ grades across the board saw her earn a distinguished biology degree with honors. Following graduation, she returned home, packed her things, and spent a little time saying goodbye to her roommate Jeff in the process. Initially, he hadn't been on her radar, but after sharing a room for so long, Tina felt a connection. It had been a bittersweet time completing her first degree at Foxbury, and on reflection, I had probably tried to bite off more than I could chew. On one hand, Tina was a high achiever, earning A+ grades for all 12 subjects and achieving a distinguished biology degree with honors. She'd also completed 2 new aspirations, being Bodybuilder and the Curator, and earned a total of 5 new traits, And of course she'd completed the frog collection and created new installments for people to enjoy in her museum. On the other hand, failing to reach the top of the soccer team and Foxbury Spirit squads meant that she'd have to retry completing these, and ultimately it cemented the fact that Tina had failed to become the ideal college athlete. Completing the bodybuilder aspiration and attaining a biology degree were only part of the picture. Reaching the top of the soccer team would have completed it, but it wasn't meant to be. As perfect as Tina, or anyone can be considered to be, it's a true lesson that no one is infallible. Today Tina stumbled, but she knew that she'd catch her footing and be ready to run again soon. Tina left her uni housing and bought an empty plot of land in Newcrest as it was all she could afford after spending so much on her museum. And as she moved in, she scanned her household inventory to find another setback. The crafted gemstones and jewelry from earlier that had disappeared seemed to truly be gone, but this didn't bother her. And as she built snow pals and made snow angels, she decided to bask in the moment. After all, despite the setbacks, she was sure that she could work out a way forward soon enough. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then consider subscribing to stay up to date with the series. And I hope you have an amazing day. See you later.